Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to Top 10 Week here on Digital Caveman Presents. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman. Today, I will be presenting you with my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2024. The criteria for making my list is pretty simple. It has to be something in the category of Marvel Legends, and I had to review it in 2024. The only exception being if I labeled it as a From the Toy Box review. Now, let's get into it! Here we have this year's honorable mention, which is the Zabu Build-A-Figure from the Zabu Build-A-Figure wave. And I have to say, as far as animals in this line goes, I believe there were only 2 released this year, which was this Zabu Build-A-Figure and the Lockjaw from the Lockjaw and Crystal Inhumans 2-pack. And this one was the much, much better animal or companion, however you want to say it, just for the sheer amount of articulation that this figure has. Now, Lockjaw, of course, you know, he has lots of nice sculpted detail. Just, I think they went the wrong way with it when they decided not to give him articulated limbs. But that's just my opinion, just like this list. Your mileage, of course, may vary, but here's my honorable mention for the year, and it is the Zabu Build-A-Figure from Zabu Build-A-Figure Wave. Starting off our list proper, here we have the niece of the dread Dormammu, sometimes paramour and apprentice to Dr. Stephen Strange, and once upon a time ruler of the Dark Dimension, Clea, from the Marvel Legends series Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave, or the Marvel Knights Wave. It's called both. And while this is a more modern rendition of the character than a more classically inspired one, which I would have actually preferred, I was just super stoked to get this character as a figure anyway. And plus the Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave, if you're a fan of Doctor Strange, you know he goes to the Dark Dimension a lot and has to end up fighting Mindless Ones a lot. So if you're a Doctor fan, if you're a Doctor Strange fan, then, you know, you were going to build that Mindless One Build-A-Figure one way or another, whether it was buying the whole wave or buying pieces from other sources. But for me, it was just Clea was a no-brainer. Now, of course, this figure does suffer from some of the female figure syndrome. They did update her legs with the pinless knees. So that was, you know, it's a very good thing. But she does still suffer from the, you know, one hinge torso and the single hinge and swivel elbows. Which, you know, in some cases I don't mind. But I really would like to see them switch to full-on double pinless elbows and knees. But here we have it, my friends. Clea from the Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave, or the Marvel Knights Wave, whichever you prefer. At number 10. Here, my friends, we have the number 9 entry on my top Marvel Legends of 2024. And I really will have to tell you, I think they did a really, really good job on this figure. The only things that really hinder it up are the knees and the elbows. The plastic for those actual hinges are made out of a bit of a different material than the rest of it, so it kind of throws it off a little bit. And you can kind of see it on the knees and the elbows as it's coming around here. It's not quite translucent, but I have to say, this is a figure I thought I would never see as a Marvel Legends. I never thought I would see Crystar again in anything other than reading old comic books. And while I originally had thought, I did some research after I did my review on this guy. I originally had thought, you know, this was a creation of Remco, and they came to Marvel for the comic book, as Marvel was wont to do. They did a lot of licensed stuff in the 80s, but this is actually a Marvel creation, and they went to Remco to have figures made of their characters. So it was kind of a reverse of what Marvel normally did at that time. And I guess the rights for making figures for the Crystar line have finally expired, or they figured a way around it or whatever. So now that they're able to at least do Crystar, I would love to see at least Moltar as well at some point down the road. I know we're finally getting a ROM, and I hope he's the appropriate size. I hope he's not like 6-inch. I hope he's 6-inch scale. So, because in the comics he was always much larger than your standard Marvel characters. But as far as this one goes, I love the sculpt on it, and for the main portion of the body, I love the materials it's made out of, this translucent stuff, and it catches the light as it goes around because it's, you know, it has that prismatic mold to it, or you know, it's made to catch the light like a crystal. So that's appropriate for Crystar, the Crystal Warrior. And again, I never thought in a million years we would get a Crystar Marvel Legends, but here it sits, my friends, and it is number 9 on my list of Marvel Legends for the year. The Marvel Legends series, I forget which Build-A-Figure wave, but it doesn't matter because it's Crystar. So Marvel Legends series, Crystar at number 9. Here at number 8, we have the Marvel Legends series X-Men 97 Cyclops, Scott Summers himself, just as he appeared in the animation, and also pretty much how he appeared in X-Men the animated series as well. But I think the animation in 97, being a lot less hand-drawn, ended up being a lot better than the animated series animation. Not nearly as many errors, but that's beside the point. But this figure, you know, it really, really captures the essence of that animated figure. And I love the way that the straps around the torso no longer hinder the movement of the figure, but rather they kind of sit on top of each other, and they're worked into the articulation. It's broken up so that it moves, you know, with the figure rather than hindering the figure. And I really like that. And I like the fact that the thigh straps are, while not molded into the legs do have gaps in them to allow for these straps so that they don't fall and, you know, get moved all over the place like previous versions of the Jim Lee Cyclops. Now, is this my end-all be-all version of Jim Lee Cyclops? No, it's not. perhaps if the head were a little less animated looking, but that would kill the entire effect of the figure. That's like taking an MCU figure and saying you wish you had a comic book accurate head on that figure. It just really would not match up aesthetically. And I hope they give us a Jim Lee Cyclops like this that is more comic book accurate. And you know, Cyclops is one of my favorite Marvel characters. At least he used to be one of my favorite Marvel characters back in the days when I religiously read X-Men. But there we have it, my friends. Number 8 on my list. Marvel Legends series, X-Men 97 Cyclops. Coming in at number 7 on my list is the Marvel Legends series Spider-Man retro carded Jack-O-Lantern, and this is the more classic version of the figure. And I have to say, from the shine of his scale mail, I love it. I love the fact that at least one of his little bombs is removable from his belt, and the head sculpt is fantastic. And not to mention his pogo board, which I didn't put in this picture or in this video. Just all fantastic pieces, and not that he's the greatest Spider-Man villain or greatest villain of Marvel Universe or anything like that, but it just is a really, really cool looking figure. And you know, it really gives you that kind of Green Goblin mixed with the Headless Horseman kind of vibe. And I think this is really good figure. And I like it. I like it enough that it made number 7 on my list. Marvel Legends series, Spider-Man retro carded Jack-O-Lantern. Here we have number 6 on my list. The Marvel Legends series, Zabu Build-A-Figure Waves, Cable. And again, just like Cyclops that I mentioned before, they reworked the torso straps so that they're not hindering any of the articulation or the range of motion in the articulation of the torso. It's like, you know, the straps go into the hinge, and then like the belt piece has 2 little pieces sticking up for the straps. Now, it doesn't always look the best when you're really looking at that, and you can see, you know, that it's separate pieces. But for the range of motion, I think it works really, really well, and I like this, and I hope they continue to do this. And again, like Cyclops, I think there are parts cut into the legs for the straps, the thigh straps, to sit so that they're not, you know, going all over the place. And I like that too. I think those are really good additions to the line. And while this may not be my favorite version of Cable, I do like that original Liefeld designed monstrosity with all his shoulder pads and huge guns. But I like this figure for what it is. It's a later version of Cable. It also, you could kind of fudge this in if you're just collecting X-Men 97 Marvel Legends. You can kind of fudge this Cable in there until they make an official X-Men 97 version. I do like the fact this one does have pinless double hinged knees, and one of the arms is pinless, and that's the robotic arm. The other arm, I think, like the torso and stuff from this figure are reused from the retro carded Avengers Hercules figure. But overall, I like this figure. He made number 6 on my list. So here we have it. The Marvel Legends series, Zabu Build-A-Figure Waves, Cable. Here we are, my friends, at number 5, starting to get down to the nitty-gritty. We have the Marvel Legends series X-Men 97 Wolverine. And while we continue to get, every other wave has Wolverine in it, it feels like a lot of times. I think there's some things that really set this one off, at least for me. It's the first time we've had the classic yellow and blue, or at least what we think of as the classic yellow and blue, with pinless double-hinged elbows and knees. I think the colors on this are really good. It really lines up with the animation, which is what it's supposed to do. And I will honestly say that I think this, even though it isn't in a more animated style, is it is the best Logan head that we have gotten on a Marvel Legends figure to date, in my opinion, at least that I own. Now, there may be some out there, because I've skipped a few Wolverines here and there, but I really think this is the best, at least that I own, Logan head, even though it is more leaning toward the animated show. And the fact that he has like what I like to call the needle claws rather than the blade claws, I think that really matches up a lot more with the classic versions of the character, when we had Byrne drawing and Cockrum drawing the X-Men. I think that, it's more, to me, it feels more of a classic move. I can't wait. I know they're going to redo this one in the brown suit, and I can't wait until they give us that. It's just, I want them all in those classic uniforms, or at least what I think of as the classic uniforms. And again, this is, while maybe not the best version of Wolverine, even though I do like the alternate, well, I guess this is the alternate head, but the masked head with the really wide wings on the mask. I love that silhouette as well. But this is the best Logan head, at least that I own. And so there we have it, my friends. Number 5, Marvel Legends series, X-Men 97 Wolverine. Here at number 4, we have the Marvel Legends series, Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch. And I have to say, the sculpt on this figure is really, really, really good. What knocked this down a few pegs is the lack of paint throughout the set. And, excuse me, the figure itself is mostly molded in the correct color plastic with no paint apps, except for the head. And while what's there is really, really great, how much greater could this figure have been with a few more paint apps on it? Now, the motorcycle, it got a couple of hits, not really much to speak of. The instrument panel, which I think is either tampos or stickers. And then I think there's a little bit of paint on the front shield here as it's coming around where the pitting and stuff is. But no, it's not. It's just the light shining in there as I looked around the camera. So, this set's really, really lacking in paint apps. The sculpt is fantastic. I love the flame effects. I do not like the fact that they opted not to put a kickstand on this bike when they were doing it on the previous bikes. I disagree with that, and I really wish that they hadn't done that. But, the flame effects that go around the tires to hold it up, that's really good for, driving positions. And, the kickstand flame that comes with it as well. I really, really like that piece. And again, the sculpt on this version is fantastic. And although I'm not a super big Ghost Rider aficionado, I guess you could say, just like everybody else in the early 90s when this version of Ghost Rider came out, I was super excited. Oh, it's Ghost Rider. Look, he's got a flaming motorcycle, and the motorcycle's futuristic looking, and it's great and awesome. And I even bought the original and the reprint of, I want to say it was Ghost Rider number 15 that had the glow-in-the-dark cover on it. And, like, the borders, like, the original was, or the first run was black border, and then, like, the second run was a gold border. I don't remember. I just remember it was, glow-in-the-dark Ghost Rider's head on it, and it was really, really great. But this is a good set as far as molding and stuff goes. And, I mean, I'm not disappointed in this set. I just think it would have been elevated to the next level with just a few more paint hits. But that's just the way I feel about it. Your mileage, of course, may vary. But there he is, my friends. Number 4 on my list, the Marvel Legends series Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch. My friends, here we have our number 3 entry on my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2024. And it's the Marvel Legends series misnamed Jean Grey and Phoenix Force 2-pack. Because as I recall, Jean Grey was not the Phoenix. It was the Phoenix Force all along, taking a human form to get that human experience. So, other than this being misnamed, I think they should have called it Phoenix and Phoenix Force. But that's just me. I do think this Phoenix Force is a really nice looking piece. I do like the fact that, her foot fits right down in it and she can pose well with it. It sure beats that old hollow plastic with the waist clip that we got with the Toy Biz version of Phoenix. And the figure itself is pretty darn good too. I think the torso is a new piece. I don't think it's the same. I originally thought that it was the same as the Black Widow piece, and it may be. I haven't pulled them out and compared them side by side. But I do think this is a new piece with that reverse ab hinge for this. But I could be mistaken, of course. I'm only human. But, I think this is a really, really good looking figure. And at first, I complained about some of the, I think all of the golds are not painted on. I won't say all of it, but a lot of it is molded in gold plastic, gold colored plastic. And I complained about that at first, but I understand now why they did that. I think is to keep paint from rubbing off on the foot and the leg when you go to put it in the Phoenix Force. So a little bit of forethought there. But again, overall, I really think this is a nice looking set. I think the figure itself is a really great version of Phoenix, not being Dark Phoenix. And I think it's really, really good, and that's why it ended up being number 3 on my list. The Marvel Legends series misnamed Jean Grey and Phoenix Force. My friends, we're almost done. Here we have our number 2 entry on my top Marvel Legends of 2024. And it's the Marvel Legends series Iron Man retro carded She-Hulk, which is a very, very classic version of the character, almost John Byrne. It's very, very close to that to me. is the way it feels. I think that's kind of what they were shooting for, and I think they nailed it. The head sculpt is fantastic. The hair on it is darn near perfect, even though it really hampers the range of movement on the head. It's just very, very John Byrne-esque, in my opinion. Your mileage, of course, may vary, but I think they got this one right. From the deco to the choices, the range of motion. I think the only things this figure is really, really missing is a reverse ab hinge. I would like to see that, and butterflies in the shoulder. I don't think this one has butterflies in the shoulders, but everything else, this is just an almost perfect version of Jennifer. Much better than what we got in the Disney Plus show. And, you know, it kind of, the smile on her face, it just reminds me of how fun of a character this character once was. She used to be a fun character, and not as much now, in my opinion. Your mileage, of course, may vary, but you know, she's even got boot cut. And I can't wait till they reuse this and give us that Fantastic Four uniform She-Hulk. And that's all they have to do. Leave the head sculpt, leave it all the same except for the paint. Just give us that Fantastic Four paint job for She-Hulk, and we'll almost be complete with what I feel like the Fantastic Four should be. Of course, you know, they might give us a Crystal and Fantastic Four uniform, but what I'm really hoping for is a She-Thing to kind of complete stuff out, and maybe also a mutated She-Thing and a mutated Ben Grimm. I would love those kind of things for a Fantastic Four line. And as we get closer to the movie, maybe we'll see those. But this figure, number 2 on my list, a fantastic figure. I love this figure. Marvel Legends series, Iron Man retro carded She-Hulk. And here, finally, my friends, we are down to my number 1 choice for the Marvel Legends top 10 of the year. And it is the Marvel Legends series, Odin. And here he is, my friends, looking all fathery. Now, originally, I said the only reuse on this figure was the Gungnir Spear, which came with the All-Father Build-A-Figure from the All-Father Build-A-Figure wave. But I was mistaken. I at least found one other piece that was reused, and that's his sword. It came with the Straczynski era Thor. But I will have to say the paint job on this one looks a whole heck of a lot better. And then we have Marvel Legends with soft goods, a very, very rare thing in this line. And I think this figure looks fantastic. It doesn't necessarily remind me of Kirby's version. To me, it leans a little more towards Walt Simonson than Jack Kirby. And I really would love to see them do this figure again in a very much more Kirby-esque way. But, you know, Kirby, every time Kirby drew Odin, it was a little bit different. So he might have different helmets or different clothes, or not be wearing armor, or he might be wearing, you know, a lot of fur. And so I guess it's kind of hard to nail that down. And while Simonson kind of did the same thing with it, you know, this is the battle armor version. He's ready to go out and put his All-Father foot up somebody's butt. And I really like this figure. I like the fact that he has the changeable head parts that you don't have to change. You know, the whole head isn't something you change. You change, you know, like his headdress and his hair pieces and stuff. Now, the only improvement, well, I guess there's a couple of improvements I would have made. I would have made, like, the gold stuff all paint apps so that it matched up better, and wire in the cape would have been fantastic. But I'm almost given up on wired soft goods from Hasbro at all. But where else are you gonna get a Mac Allfather Daddy Odin? What other Marvel line could possibly give you this, that would be willing to give you this? A comic version of Thor and Loki's daddy. No other line that I know of. There might be like an import MCU version out there somewhere, but not this. And as this one stands, I think they did an outstanding job on this. The small complaints, you know, that I had about it aside, I think the sculpt on this guy is really, really good. The colors that they chose, I think, are really, really good. The fact that they did give us soft goods, and again, that's very rare in this line. You know, I hope it's foreshadowing things to come. Well, there you have it, my friends. Number 1 on my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2024. The Marvel Legends series, Odin. Well, there you have it, my friends. That completes my Marvel Legends series top 10 list, plus an honorable mention for 2024. Closing out the year on Marvel Legends. Getting ready for the new year. By all means, this is not the end. This is only the beginning of Top 10 Week. So please feel free to check out the new episodes as they occur throughout this week. We'll have G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe, Star Wars, Transformers, and of course, Surprise Thursday with a few surprises. So please make sure that you check out the rest of the Top 10 Week. Did you agree with my choices? Do you disagree with my choices? Let me know down in the comments how you feel. And that does it for this top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I'm now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.